Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Welcome, welcome. This is Michelle from
Hi,
Down Under.
everyone.
Say hi. Hi, Kit Kat.
Hi.
Hi, Jane. Michelle, you're here. Mary. Eric Cozy, I don't think he's here anymore. Shaz, Jane, Rhonda. Rhonda. Okay, I'm now got to get back to their YouTube one because that's where I see everybody. Dark Side of the Moon, Juliet. Mary, did I say you? Okay, I did. I don't want to miss anybody. If I did, I apologize. I really do. I'm trying to make sure that I say hi to everybody. But anyway, we are here with Michelle, who's a great supporter. How long have you been supporting for? A couple of years?
I'm late to the party. I came on about 2018, I think.
Okay, a couple of years, a year and a half. But you're a really strong Brendan supporter. Like this week, you took care of stuff that Becca normally does, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're really into the Brendan, and of course he's got my heart too. So we all know that. But so I've just, like I said, I'm just gonna let you fly and tell me your story. Tell me how you got into this. Tell me what drives you to be a supporter.
I started watching it just on the fly one day and thought, I'll put this on. I don't know really much of what it's about. I hadn't heard a lot about it. Watched episode after episode just repeatedly, couldn't turn it off. And Brendan was what pulled me in, like most people, I think. I remember saying to people, Stephen might have done it. I don't know. I didn't know how I felt about him, but I didn't really care either.
Yeah.
And then I've spoken to other people who have said, how could you not care about Stephen? Like twice convicted wrongly. And I was like, yeah, but for me it was that Brendan was a child and had the police didn't care about him at all. He was collateral damage. So that's what really got me in. And then as I dug deeper and obviously went to YouTube and Twitter and everything else, I couldn't believe the depth of it. And I couldn't believe that, judges and juries couldn't get him out of jail. I just couldn't believe it.
It's like
it broke my heart.
What's going on here? Is this really true? Is this really going on? I mean, like I said, I told you I thought this is not really even happening, especially right next door. And everybody hears me repetitively say this, but I didn't know. I didn't know nothing about it. And
I saw so much of my son in him too, and I know mothers right across the world have as well. It's deeper for me than just maternal, but there was a lot that I saw when I was watching it. My son was 16. My son has autism, and it's high functioning though, so he can get through day to day fine. But I saw a lot of the same struggles, particularly with his speech. And so once I come across Under the Hood, by Michelle Levine and Sally Miles, that was my Bible then, because I could never articulate why it was that his confession was coerced.
Mm-hmm.
Once I read that, I was like, here it is in black and white. It's plain for everyone to see how and the tactics and what they did to get that out of him. And he was just.
What was that you were referring to? What was the name of it?
Under the Hood. I did ask Katniss to share the link.
The link up. That's what it is. Yep. And I suggest everybody check it out if you haven't checked it out.
It's absolutely incredible.
Because you'll probably end up using it throughout your life. I mean, it's not just for Brendan. It'll help you understand what his train of thought was, and if you like your son, it'll help you understand a little bit more where they come from, right? I mean, I would think, because there's a big thing with this language and them understanding. I know they did that thing with Brendan about the language, and how, what just shocked me so badly when I heard that he was at school and he had to have an adult sit next to him to explain what was going on at the age of 16, and you, Feckbender and Liger, didn't see this.
And they were given his files from school, so they were well aware of his deficiencies, and they chose to ignore them. And I think they really just used them to their advantage at the end of the day.
If you hear Brian's interview or interrogation, whatever you want to call it, that just came out, I guess you can kind of tell that's why they didn't take him, because he wasn't going to get swayed. You know, you can kind of tell he was like a smart aleck to him, and he's not going to get swayed. And I think they knew they weren't going to get Kayla. She wasn't going to talk anymore. So they just took the one that would just be so friendly and think he's helping when he's really sealing his own fate. You know?
To say that, well, we gave him a comfortable couch and we offered him food and drink and toilet breaks, it's not enough for me.
If they had people, you know?
And even though it's not law in Wisconsin to have a, an adult or a lawyer present, morally and ethically, that those two men should never have allowed that, regardless of what the law is.
It makes you think, what were they thinking? I mean, come on, if it was your son, that's how I try to go through life, is just think, what would I do in my situation? I think most people think like that, and they didn't think, well, what if your son was there? Would you want them to be talking to him without you? No.
Absolutely not.
Tell you, if you aren't going to do it for your own self or your children, that you should never do it to somebody else's.
And as well, if you weren't fearful of what you were doing and you just brought him in to ask him questions, then there should be no fear in having someone present.
Exactly.
And I mean, not even letting Barb in when she eventually did turn up, because she was in court, which I think that they knew that as well.
Yes, they did know. They did know that she was going to be in divorce court when they took him. So, and you can hear all the stories you want.
My case about Barb saying, she should have kicked the door down and blah, 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 blah. And of course, hindsight, we all would have loved to have done that.
Yeah.
But to me, Barb is caught up in this as much as Brendan is.
Just as much a victim. And people they want to attack. And I just don't see that. First of all, I don't attack any family members, because how can you be a supporter if you're not supporting the family? That's Brendan's mother. Regardless of how you feel about her or what you think she should have done, if you care about Brendan, you are not going to talk shit about his mother, because that is his lifeline to life. I agree.
I think to support Brendan, you kind of have to support particularly Barb, because she's his only protector right now.
Right. And I honestly, I see things wrong too, but I wasn't there. And I don't know, but I do know that I've talked to like family and whatnot. I'm not going to name anybody. I got friends, and they tried to tear the family apart. You have no idea what they tried to do. None. So for sitting on the outside and saying that you wouldn't do this, I think that's a little naive. You really don't know.
It is, I live in Melbourne, Australia. I'm not in Wisconsin. I'm not in Manitowoc. And so I don't know how Barb's grown up. I don't know what she knows and what she doesn't know, and I just think it's really harsh to judge someone that say you were to blow it all up and Barb knew something. Like, what does that do to Brendan while he's behind bars? You just strip him of everything he knows, and I don't think that right now. I don't think that that's important. I think what's important is trying to get him out.
Yeah, trying to get him out, and bashing is not going to do nobody any good. It might make you feel better if you have to get something out. I mean, I can understand people's frustrations. I really can. But if you just think about poor Brendan sitting there, and the only lifeline he has to any of us even is her. So you've got to be supportive, at least while he's in there. I mean, if you want to speak something, I publicly don't want to be the one that says something bad and he gets out and says, oh yeah, you were supporting me, but you said this about my mother. Well, screw you too. I would never want Brendan to think that I did something like that, because I care about him even, that much, and want to see him strive and get out and have some kind of life, At 58 years old, even though I'm close to it, I couldn't imagine being there all that time and then coming out at this age. It's so limited at this age of what you can do anyway. All your years, your youth, your learning, all that stuff is just gone, And
I just can't imagine any mother in the world would leave their son in jail like that. And particularly Brendan, I just can't. It just doesn't compute with me. So, and no one's, shown me anything to prove otherwise with Barb, that she knows anything. So they can talk the talk as much as they like, but you've got to show something for me. I've got to see something concrete. Yeah, and I haven't. So
show me some proof, and then I'll be on that bandwagon. But until then, we don't know what happened. Absolutely. We can speculate all we want, because basically that's what we're doing anyway. But I think you can do it respectfully and not do that. So I'm glad to see somebody else that feels that way. There's not really a lot of people that There is a lot of people that do, but the vocal ones really kind of want to just pull things out. But the things they pull out really isn't going to do anything legally, and that's what I strive for, the legal things, So what did you think about Brendan and the governor and what Laura and Steve are trying to do that way?
I thought what they presented was just incredible. I might even cry while I'm talking about this, but I just think those two people are amazing. And I held a lot of hope, and I thought probably not before Christmas, maybe after, but to hear that before Christmas was crushing, like everyone. But I'm still holding hope for him. I still have this feeling like he might do it as he's walking out the door, or I still think, he talks a lot about children and he talks a lot about people before politics. And so I think if we can get to him as much as possible while he's in power, it can't hurt. I tweet him all the time, and I just think it can't hurt. I know it's likely he's not seeing it himself physically. He's got people that work for him that handle those things, but it can't hurt at the end of the day.
Yep, exactly. And yes, 1965 beans. Must be bean green or something. I don't know. Anyway, it was an encouraging tweet from Stelner today. Did you see it? Where she's got 4 billboards, and they keep pointing to 2 people.
I still don't have a theory of which way it can go. The investigation was so shoddy. I'm not even sure that any of us really can look a particular way, but obviously evidence leads to certain people. So
right. And I think there are some very great researchers out there that are definitely
amazing.
They're getting down to the wire, and they're sending their stuff to Zellner, which is the best thing they can do. All that research you're doing, get it to the lawyer. Get it to the lawyer. Let her do her job. And she needs us to help her too. Look, the state isn't helping her. We all know that.
I find it really funny, because I'm sure out there in all of that research that everyone's doing, in there someone has got it right. Someone has got it right. They have to.
I think so too. I mean, I kind of like what Magilla, or is it Magilla?
Yeah, Magilla. Yep.
I always want to say something else in his name, and I just messed it up every time. But I like the way he's breaking things down. And I've heard some other things, that sound very plausible to me, that are like, yeah, that makes you think, yep, that could be. Well, like Cuss Road, nothing there. Kind of seems like there might have been something there. A whole lot of something there.
Yeah, the dog tracks are big for me. The dog tracks, because you can't, convince a dog to go the way you want it to go.
And they don't have an agenda, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. And McGilla did really, put that out. He did a great job on that.
And he has I've been watching him on Eric Jose's channel, and he does a really good job of explaining it really simply.
Yeah.
Instead, for some of us who I know nothing about dog tracks, and he does a really good job of explaining. Yeah.
And then he went so far as to say that the scent dog was, made 500 years ago or something, he really gets into that,
It's not new technology that's been brought on just to this case just now. It's been around forever.
Yeah, and he's just taking it and putting it together. And at least he's connecting some dots that, just seemed untouchable. The pieces didn't seem like they'd ever go together, because everywhere you look in here, it's coming from here, it's going to there. They said this, they said that, and then you're seeing something different. So it's like, what's going on? So I'm glad we got some good researchers out there to do that.
Wasn't it Pagel that stopped the, I think it was the scent dog, from crossing a crime scene tape?
Over in Cuss Road.
Yeah. Why would you do that?
Because I think they were trying to clean up their mess and then let the dogs come through and tell them if there was still something there. I don't know.
The mind boggles, really.
Doesn't it? I mean, when you think about it, you go, what's the mindset of this person? What were they thinking when they were doing this, And boy, they're dangerous in life. Like, O'Kelly. You want to talk about O'Kelly?
Oh.
I know. Wait till I get
my
to my Trash Tuesdays. He'll probably be the biggest thing on my Trash Tuesday when I have Trash Tuesday on O'Kelly. Next week
A
is
horrible, insidious man. I just can't even.
What do you think of the fact that he was just there to do a polygraph?
I mean, the whole thing when that started with him, you know, Brendan even questioning, what do I write here? I don't know. Like, you know, are you sorry for what you did? Are you not sorry for what you did?
Yeah, I mean, is that not a trick question? Yes, I am, or no, I'm not. And I did it
And I
anyway.
loved that Brendan questioned that. The fact that he questioned that, because he could see, well, hang on, how can I be sorry or not sorry when I didn't do it?
Right, right. Or when he says, I am telling you the truth. And the guy goes, oh, no, 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 you're not. Let's draw some pictures.
That was one thing that really got me, that I haven't really seen anyone talk about. In that picture that Brendan did draw, he drew Teresa on the bed in the chains and the cuffs, but her body was so small on that bed. And
yeah, the bed was huge.
Yeah, you've got to imagine if he's there and he's looking at that, then her body is obviously going to fill that bed. That even to me was an indicator that it wasn't real.
Yeah, have you watched Kiss the Girls? Okay, so you see where he got it. I mean, the knives from the kitchen, the hair cutting, the, you know,
so obvious.
All of that, the dragging of the body, everything is just like, wow. And I
believe someone on Twitter came out to say that Kiss the Girls was actually on TV in Manitowoc, that area around that time.
Yes, during that time, it had just coming out where you could get it on cable. So like at Fox Hill, probably got it on cable, you know, because I don't think they had cable at their house. But, you know, I mean, still, if you're there, you can watch all that. And then you come up with this brilliant story. You know what I mean? It's like, and the guys
to have him on the stand saying, I read the book, and, you know, I think Fallon was being so dramatic in saying, oh, and, you know, where would a 16-year-old get this information from? And, oh, what kind of book and who wrote it? You know, for me, it was clear that Brendan watched the movie and didn't read the book. And he probably is on stand thinking, if I say I watched it, it's rated R, I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah, because he didn't want to be in any trouble. Face it. I mean, the kid's still, he wants to get out and he wants to cure people. I mean, nice TV. I mean, it just
breaks my heart.
I know I cried through that podcast when he was talking. I was just all tears, dude, just all tears, because I was like, he is so innocent. He's just such.
The thing that made me cry, the thing that made me really break down was right at the end when Jason Flom says, this is my favorite part. You've got the floor. You can say whatever you like. And he says, I don't know what to say. I like Pokemon. And I'm just like, how, you know, this is his opportunity again to say, I'm innocent, help me. But he just, you know, he's so childlike in his mind.
Yeah. Do you write to him?
I regularly, yep.
Oh, wow. See, I can't.
And I still, from the first day that I got his letter, I jumped up and down and squealed in my street. And I still get just as excited every letter that comes. And they're so simple, the letters. They really are. But, you know, I just want him to know. And when I first started, my first thing was like, I'm writing to him. I have to tell him someone cares. And then when I went online, I found out he was receiving 40 letters a day. And I thought, okay, people care. This is good, but I need to be one of them too. He needs to know someone from Australia cares. And then I found out this whole group of people from Australia and all over the world, really. But
yeah, all over the world. Like when we went to Raleigh and we got the banner with all the flags on it that had every flag from every country.
It was incredible.
It went completely across the whole stairway entrance to the courtroom. It's
amazing.
Big. It was just, I was looking at it going, oh my gosh, you know, that was a really good time to see everybody and put faces with voices, and I was just a mess. All I did was cry. If you seen them,
that would be me. I'm a crier.
The whole time when I met everybody, I was like, oh, I don't know. I'm just an emotional person. So that's what, you know, this year, hopefully I will keep it together a little bit more, but I doubt it. I doubt it. I'll probably cry. You know, I went to Carla's house when I was on my way for Eagle Nation here, for their opening a $50 million bullet, you know, to announce they were doing it. And I seen Carla and I was like, oh, I'm not going to cry. And I went in the other room and I wiped my face.
Yep. I'm a crier. I cried everything, but every time I talk about Brendan, tears will flow. There's just, I can't get around it.
And I wish I had courage to call him, or I mean, to write to him. I don't. I don't know what to say to every time I go to try to write to him. I just break down. I don't know what to say to him. I'm like, what am I
struggled the first time and had to ask for help, because my thing was I started writing to him and telling him about me and how I come to find out about his story. And every time I spoke about myself, I felt really guilty, because I would talk about how I live in Australia and this wouldn't happen here. And, you know, we have beautiful beaches and the sun shining, and how cruel that would be to send that to someone who's sitting in a cell who's innocent. But I quickly realized that's what he needed. He needed to hear all of those things.
I guess that's what they say. They say, write about you, what you're doing. They want a connection to the outside world. And what we're doing is way more exciting than sitting there, you know, and I just can't do it though. I just feel guilty. I feel guilty, you know, like I'm out here and I know you shouldn't be there, you know.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be there.
But what you're doing is just as important as well. And it's not like no one's writing to him, so you shouldn't feel guilty that you don't.
I wrote him a poem, and I had it for like 6 months or whatever, and then I gave it to Becca to read, and she said, "Oh my gosh, would you please? Did you read it?"
I think I did. Was that a while ago?
Yeah. And then I think I did. He said, "Well, I'm going to give it to him," and I just started crying. I was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you," because that's really where it's meant to be. You know what I mean? And it just talks about all of us, you know. So I was kind of proud of it, you know, because I really wanted him to get it, and I'm just thrilled that he did. You know,
he's just such a beautiful, like, you would think he would hold a lot of angst. And
there's Becca. Hi, Becca. We're just talking about you.
Hi, Becca.
I love her.
I love her too. She's gorgeous.
So good. The things she's doing for Brendan and you're doing for Brendan is so good.
I've quickly learned this week. People might think that what she does is a very small part, but it actually is a lot of work. And I've quickly learned that this week, even though I probably knew that before. But
I told her, I said, she goes, "Oh, it's nothing. Everybody," and I'm like, "Oh, it's nothing. You just take everything, you Xerox it all off. Then you got to put it in the mail and do this and make sure you get everybody's thing because you don't want to forget anybody."
And it's almost like I felt this week, like it starts on the Monday and before you know it, the next one's rolled around and you've only just finished the week before. So it's constant and it's a lot of work. So I take my hat off to her.
Yeah,
she works hard. And she loves him to bits, and that comes across.
I know. When I told her, when I said my best thing at the rally was meeting Barb. It really was. I'm telling you, it was like I just fell in her arms, and we both started bawling. And Barb goes, "I don't even cry. Why am I crying?" You know, I was like, "Oh, I have that effect on people. I'm sorry," you know. But it was like the best thing for me to be that close to Brendan because I felt really
that's exactly how I would feel.
You know, and I didn't ask her anything, or, you know, I'm definitely not going to ask her anything about the case. No matter what anybody asks me to ask any of the family, I would never do it. They live it. I'm not going to ask them. You know what I mean?
I can't even fathom, let alone what Brendan and Stephen have endured over the years, but just the family and in particular, you know, Dolores and Barb alone as a mum to mum.
Yeah. Yep.
I just can't even imagine the pain.
Yeah.
You know, like I said to you, my daughter's been in the Netherlands for a year and we've had Skype and Messenger and Facebook and all of those things. And that was hard enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Barb gets to visit him 3 times a week or something. I don't know what it is, but it's not enough.
Yeah, it's not enough because he's in there and she knows he shouldn't be there too. Then that's the worst part of this all is I always say, you know, 1 hour in there for something you didn't do is probably like 100 years because your mind is going, I don't belong here. I didn't do it. I don't, you know, can you imagine that being repeated for 14 years in your head?
I say that I think it's worse to lock someone up who's innocent than to let a guilty person walk free. To take someone's liberties away from them like that, and a child, you know, of all 16 years old. And that's the other thing that broke my heart when I found out that he had been alone in all of that, you know, before Making a Murderer came out. For what was it, 7 or 8 years?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Such a long time.
Yeah, that there was nobody that knew about it to help. So the family struggled with all this by themselves too, you know, and I just can't imagine doing it. And there's so many other cases out there too, you know. I mean, I don't really know so many about young kids that are, you know, wrongfully convicted. I know there's kids that are in prison for adult crimes, that probably need to be there, but maybe they need to be someplace a little gentler first. But the ones that are there as young, as 16, 15, the cases that they found out they didn't do it, they're damaged forever. I mean,
Yeah.
Brendan has to live with this stamp in his head forever. He is definitely going to be an institutionalized person where he's going to need repetition. And, not that he might have already needed that in his life anyway, because a lot of people, like my daughter has, when she was growing up, she needed to have consistency, or it just messed with her head. She had hyperactivity and she was slower learning. So she needed consistency. You have to have consistency. And that's what Brendan's going to have as an adult too,
Because it's all he knows. He knows structure and nothing else.
Yeah.
I think Barb spoke with him about that on the phone in one of the episodes of Making a Murderer.
I was just going to say, Brendan, it's different out here. You don't have to ask to go here or there. You can do what you want. And he's like, well, I don't think he even fathomed that,
Yeah, no, I don't think he did either.
It registered when she was telling him that, so of course he's going to need some counseling through that, I mean, a grown man would, but a child, for him to be so mentally strong, you got to give it to him. Brendan Brave is
incredible.
Right. Yeah, Brendan Brave is definitely a very great term. I love that. Be Brendan Brave. I don't think I could be. I'm being really honest. I'm a grown adult.
I honestly think I would be angry. I would be angry at the world. And when you get his letters, they're so full of love and compassion and care and innocence. They really are. Like, he still has the mind of a child.
Yeah, he does. He does. So, when you talk to him, does he talk about his future? Does he think of the future?
He has a little bit talked about his future. He talks a lot about who visits and how much he loves those visits and what they mean to him. And he'll talk a lot about what they eat, which I love. I love hearing simple things like that too. And what he's watched, what he's been up to, and a lot about support.
Does he really kind of, do you think he gets that there's like people all around the world, like in great numbers?
I think he clearly would know, because he's receiving mail from all parts of the world. But I really don't think he would comprehend what people are doing out here, like this YouTube videos and talking about it and interacting. And I don't think he would be able to grasp the connection that we all have because of the internet now. And because obviously it was sort of probably a new thing for him before he went in.
Yeah, they had dial-up. I think that's what everybody kind of came to the conclusion, that Barb had dial-up because of those discs you could get for free. I mean, come on, the boys could get them at every store and just put them in. Their mom would never even know they had internet. You know what I'm saying? So
I don't think he would understand the impact he's having on people. And I mean, people have, I've read about it on Twitter, gone back to school to do law. And I mean, it's made me want to look into doing other things. I'm a nail technician and now I want to do speech pathology. So the impact he's having, impact he's having is phenomenal.
Oh, that's great. And that will be dealing with what Brendan's deal, that speech thing is, right? The language thing?
All those deficiencies. And what my biggest part for that paper was that it connects with law, and it should be brought into law. It should be brought into those confessions and interrogations, and they go hand in hand. People need to understand, deficiencies in speech and what darting, 10 questions at someone under a minute can do to someone, and how he couldn't comprehend 10 questions. And just the Miranda rights alone, I think it's 12 sentences in a row. He's switched off after 2 sentences. He doesn't understand that.
It's like they tell you to punish a child. Well, if they're 2 years old, you stick them on a chair for two minutes, because that's all the time they've got to think about it. And they don't even know why they're there after that. You know what I mean? So I kind of understand that. But, geez, I never really thought that it had the language that people hear. I mean, the way you speak it, they hear it totally different. And I never knew that. You know what I mean?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that was such a big thing. And that thing that can't think of, the one under the hood that Catnet keeps doing here. I've got to check that out, because I remember checking it out. I think it was last year, and I was like, Wow, this is really interesting, because that's when I found out that Brendan had to have a teacher next to him, and I was like, wow, I didn't know that. And then this came out, and then well, it
Me
all
seeing my
whammied
son
me.
in Brendan a lot was all the, in that video interrogation, he's looking down and he's doing the ahas and ahs and,
Hmm.
he's playing with his fingers. They were all things that I saw my son do when he's a bit lost and confused. He's a lot better with it now. My son's now 18, but he got a handle on it pretty young. And like I said, his is high functioning autism. It's
Yeah.
really irrelevant to me whether Brendan has or hasn't been diagnosed with anything like that, but definitely the deficiencies in his understanding of, intense verbiage,
Yeah.
like what they did in that
The
interrogation.
verbiage, whenever I hear that verbiage, I think of that cop. That's not my verbiage. I was like, whoa. Well, what verbiage did you use? That meant the same thing.
Yep.
But yeah.
But, like I think they said in the paper that 98% of their questioning to Brendan was contaminated. It took me a
Wow.
long time to understand the control question, and I'm pretty sure Eric Jose, I hammered him like, please explain it one more time, please. I just couldn't quite get my head around whether he failed or passed it, or how I would go on to explain that to someone else. And when I
Right.
did, it was lit up
Didn't
in
come out
lights
right.
for me. Yeah.
I still can't comprehend it. I don't know. I just know that they asked him a question that was a false question, and he said he didn't know about it. So he didn't get tricked into it. And then Fassbender said to him, "So you're calling me a liar? Or you're saying
Do you
it didn't happen?"
disagree
And
with me?
then he wanted to be nice to him and said, "No, well, no." So, I mean, it was
Yeah, I don't disagree with you means I agree with you.
yeah,
I'm saying,
exactly.
sure, she had a tattoo on her stomach, but I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I didn't see it, I mean, so they got him. They had a control question to try to make sure he was telling the truth, but they used the answer against him because he was so willing to please that, he just wanted to make him happy. I mean, what
But
killed me
how
was,
smarter minds than mine did not understand that is beyond me.
well, Duffin, I guess, was the only one that had seen it.
Yeah.
And why the state would want to pursue Brendan the way they did. I mean, to, just people all around the world were saying, let the kid out. I mean,
Yeah.
lawyers and the numerous people that are professionals right now that have written a page for Brendan and sent it to the governor is phenomenal. Do you think, does the governor think, does anybody think that these people are going to put their name on something that is not right? I mean, that they're going to lose their professional name and their careers by letting a murderous killer, slasher, burner, rapist out? No,
No.
I don't think these people are not going to waste their time on it at all.
I don't know what it is, but there is something in me that just sees Governor Evers and thinks he gets it, and he knows it's wrong. And
I
maybe
think
it's
so
a matter
too.
of political suicide or whatever it is over there,
Yeah.
but I
But he
truly
could
think
make
he
a
doesn't get it.
he could make a big change. Make that president. Don't go beyond that and let him out because he's simply innocent.
He's just automatically sewn into the fabric of what this all means and what it all is. So, if he can be the one to stand up and show that I am full of integrity and I have morals and this is wrong and I'm going to make it right because I have that power to do so.
Right.
If he doesn't do that, he's just letting
He's a
letting
fool.
America down, really.
He is.
He needs to
Because
set that
he could
standard.
he could open up so many other doors, and people would praise him for this. He does not understand that people want him to make that change, and I just don't think his people that are before him are allowing him to do it. They're telling him, oh, this is going to be political suicide. I don't think so, buddy. I don't think so. I think there's too many people around the world that want to see you do the right thing.
I think that people put way too much emphasis on what they think will happen. I think if they just did it, it would. And I said this all along from the word go. I think if they had have not fought Brendan's appeals as much as the state did, particularly to the on-bank review, which was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would have even gone away and walked away even from Stephen, sadly, but I actually think that's what would have happened. I think a lot of people just would have said, okay, well, Brendan's out and we're happy now, so Stephen will sort himself out.
Yeah.
Because
So
the confession is what's going to, keep him there. And I'm not fearful for Stephen getting out. Obviously, I believe Stephen's innocent. I feel like Stephen will get out, and my fear is Brendan will be stuck there because of that damn confession.
Yeah. That's mine too. But you want to know what I think they're going to do? Kind of in the back of my mind, it's like Stephen gets out, then Laura and Steve are going to use his 976 whatever it is, because they've never done that, and they can use that on the basis of Stephen's trial. So you know what I mean? So that might intertwine. It might, things might work
I really
out.
hope so.
Because even though Kathleen let Ryan Ferguson out, the person that confessed is still there.
Yeah.
So, yes, she got him out on words only. I see that, but that kid is still in there, and he's not getting out.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's the confession.
Yeah.
For some
it's because you used your
reason,
word.
We know that coerced confessions are a very real thing over there in particular. And we're still not educating ourselves in law to write it, to fix it.
Right.
We're just saying, they confess, that's the end of it, move on. And it's not.
Yep.
I had someone say that to me on Twitter this morning. His confession stands, it's legal. But just because it's legal doesn't make it right. The legal system gets it wrong every day of the week.
Oh, yeah, they do. They certainly do. There's over sentencing on a lot of things. There's people that are let out in 7 years for doing horrible things. And then here you got poor Brendan doing life for something he didn't even do.
Brendan put the call out some time ago. I think it was before Christmas last year, for people to, if they wanted to write to other prisoners that he had either shared a cell with or he was friends with. And I did. I wrote to all of them. I had responses back from, I think, 3 of the 4.
Fen put that out. There's other people there that, I can't write to any of them. I'm sorry. I just can't.
I started to understand really why Brendan had asked for those specific people. And it made so much sense to me that they were not too dissimilar to him. They weren't completely innocent, but they owned their role in their crime. But it was the sentence that was so extreme.
Right.
And I completely agreed. One of them was statutory rape, and he ended up, I don't know, on bail, I think, maybe, and he got caught with a bit of weed, and he ends up getting 20 years for that. And I thought, I think he was 17, and none of it just made sense to any of men. And, it just seems crazy to me. It
does. Well, it doesn't only seem crazy to you. There's about 100 million of us out here that think it's crazy. I don't know how many there is.
Another one I write to this guy, we email, so I email weekly almost. I think his was a armed robbery, but no one got hurt, and I think he got something like 20 years as well. And I can understand the impact it might have had on holding up a service station of someone who works there, but I just think it's so extreme, and it's nothing about rehabilitation or teaching people what's right from wrong, like I said, I write to him weekly, and he's just as beautiful as Brendan. He stays out of trouble. He's sticks to himself. He works in the kitchen every day, and he's just biding his time basically, and it's heartbreaking. And I said that I got my daughter to read one of his emails, and I said, it's breaking my heart, and she said, he's not sad. He's very positive, which is like Brendan, so positive all the time. But coming across the other end, I'm like, it's just gutting.
Yeah, it is. Fen is saying right now, everybody, that Brendan sent a new name for a list yesterday. So if anybody's interested in helping and writing out, please DM Fen, and she will give you the name. And I think that's great that you guys do this, because there are some people that just don't have anybody at all.
It made me realize, I always thought you're in prison and you've committed a crime. See ya. Good luck to you.
Yeah.
But it made me realize there's a human aspect still there, and we need to keep that contact is really, really important.
Right. And I I have changed my views since doing this on a lot of things, like the death penalty. I was for it. I thought if you're a baby raper, you need to die.
Yep,
But
I was the
listen,
same.
unless you are so 1000%, like, you better be caught doing that crime and everything about it is you on that crime and not even a hesitant of a doubt. I just think they should stop it. They shouldn't do it. Okay.
I don't
I'm
believe
just
that an eye
against
for
it
eye
now.
works anyway. What does it
It
achieve?
doesn't. What are you doing? You're doing the same thing they did. I don't, you know what I mean? I am so happy Minnesota has not had the death penalty since 1911, and we aren't getting it back. I tell you, that's very good. I mean, that's a long time. Somebody said Wisconsin. I said, nah, Minnesota, I think, beats you on that one.
Yeah.
I am all for not having that. And especially since I heard that somebody they just found out not too long ago that somebody that was wrongfully convicted got death sentence and died, and the DNA came back and they didn't do it. Now, you can never undo that. How can you undo it? You can't. That person lost their life and they didn't even do it. Bad enough that they spent 20 years in death row, but then you killed them on top of it. Okay. You're no better than anybody else. You know what I'm saying? I just don't.
It's lazy. It's lazy.
Eye for an eye. That's not what I think the Lord was talking about when he's saying eye for an eye. I think he's meaning be nice to people and people will be nice to you. I don't think he means kill you and kill, I don't think that's the way to interpret it.
And I really believe in rehabilitation and all those things as well. And so I don't.
do too. And they do not give that enough in prison. They don't give rehabilitation.
In Australia, we're like the opposite end of the spectrum from you guys. We're too lenient. We're letting rapists out to walk around and do it again. There's no in between, really. So
yeah, that's true. I mean, when you have humans involved, you're going to make mistakes. We're all fallible. There's not much you can do there. And
apparently not if you're Manitowoc Sheriff's Office.
Or if you're Ken Kratz, the prize.
Yeah. Don't make mistakes, apparently.
No. And you can lie to the attorneys that hire you too and get away with it. I just think that's fabulous. And you get a promotion. Well, let's pass out some medals. You know what I mean? I
don't even know if I can say that man's name. I just.
Let me tell you. He put me out for like a week last year when I found out that Brendan's polygraph, he passed it and they lied to him. I was devastated, Michelle. I was down, out crying. I was punching pillows because I was like, I want to go get this guy. I want to shake you. You were a piece of on that thing, what you did to him, and now you lied to his lawyer. You know what I mean? I just like, I just get mad.
Brendan was just abused at every single turn.
Yeah,
from everyone.
And you can call it child abuse because that's exactly what it was.
I do.
If you do that to your children out here, you would have them taken away if you're mentally telling them one.
It's what you're doing to that child mentally. Sitting there telling him he failed his lie detector test when he passed it, and he knew full well he didn't do it. So he's thinking, how can that possibly be? And
Shaz, they did try to bring back the death penalty, but it wouldn't have affected Stephen or Brendan because it would have been after they were being tried, and it would have came in on after that, whatever. But yes, they did try to bring back the death penalty in Wisconsin. Glad they didn't. I hope they don't. I think, it's just not, I'm sure there's many more people that have died that were innocent. Look at these people that are 36 years in prison and they get out because they're innocent,
The thing that gets me too is, Brendan comes up for parole in 2048, I think it is. And he still has to admit that he did it for them to even let him out. Like, what's the point of having parole then?
Yeah. I don't know.
Parole should stand as parole. If you've behaved yourself in jail, which, what did they say at Columbia Correctional?
One ramen noodles. He wrote on a request sheet. The boy has done absolutely nothing wrong. There's people in there that are killing people and they're still letting them out. You know what I mean?
They called him exceedingly benign at Columbia. Like, if that doesn't describe the exact person that he is. He was he'd break up fights and he'd try and help people and, pushes people around in wheelchairs and.
Yeah, opens the doors and, You know, I mean, does he like being moved where he is to the new prison, or this new prison that he's at? Does he like it better there?
I personally don't think he does. I know that they've stopped a few visitations and things like that. I think Becca was one of those people, actually. He was really, really gutted over that, and there's no explanation as to why that happens either.
They don't tell him?
But at Columbia, they let people in all the time, he said. So, you know, I think one half a dozen of the other, basically.
True. I mean, I wish I could make a connection and write them, and I've been saying it for ever since I've been talking about it, but I just can't do it. I get way too emotional and too thinking I might say something that would affect him, and I don't want to ever affect Brendan in a bad way. I think too many people have done that, and I just want to be an outside support. Look, I could cry talking about Brendan. It is just so sad. It just guts you to think that this poor kid, I mean, think about it, 2048, is that when? Think about that's 28
I don't even know,
more years.
59 or something when that happens as well.
That is just terrible. But I think
Steve Prison said in Making a Murderer too, his biggest fear was that, you know, he would die before Brendan was let out. And when I got to meet him at one of the shows they had here in Melbourne, it was the only thing that I could think to say to him. And, you know, my hands on his chest, because I just was like that. I actually just broke down and cried because I thought, I never even thought of that for myself. What if I go through my life and I die before I ever find out?
Yeah,
you know,
I know. I mean, you go to your grave taking this, you know what I mean? And I think about Stephen's parents all the time too. You know, they're getting on, and you know,
it's gutting.
I just can't imagine having that life. You know what I mean? And I pat Sandy. Oh my gosh, she gets the biggest praise for me because she was around before any of us.
Yeah.
I mean, she didn't have no MAM or nothing. She decided by watching his trials and being there for him that she was going to be there for him. And that is great. You know what I mean? And I would really wish, or maybe there are some people that did that, but to stand through all this and this many years and you know, they get criticized and they get people saying things about him, and everybody's got a story about something, you know what I mean? And I don't know if I could take that criticism. Like I said, I've never had an encounter with people here that's been negative except for one time, and I just move on, you know, because I've
had a lot of hate messages and things like that just in the past few months. Some disgusting things that are said to me. They don't affect me, thank God. I'm not someone who is bothered by that, and I would never stop, you know, defending Brendan or Stephen because of it. It's when they start insulting, particularly Brendan. You know, one of them was calling him a fat boy, and I just wanted to rage. Like, that's all you've got.
Is that
all you? Me more than you insulting me, like.
Yeah, the only thing I ever got was, "Oh, your grammar, you don't." So what? Oh. So what? I'm writing something, and it ain't the way you think it should be done, or a school book.
Oh,
or whatever.
One guy corrected me because I put an extra E in Penny Berenston's name. Like, really?
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, if that's your worst, then oh my gosh, you know.
I just truly believe that if you think, I mean, Stephen or Brendan did this, you just haven't researched it enough. You just haven't.
Right.
You just can't have.
I kind of got wind that that convicting a murderer guy, Sean Reck thing. I guess he's not going to do it now. What is that? He's not going to let it out anymore or something. We don't get to see Andy talk to KK about kicking the corner or nothing. I think he had a change of heart. I think he really went in there to try to prove him guilty and ended up finding out he's not.
I mean, the way Ken Kratz behaved with Andy, and we only saw this tiny little snippet of it, was enough to show anyone he was being shady.
Yeah. I'm not going to tell you the narrative of this because I'm just not going to till the end of the thing. Well, of course you're not, because you don't know how it ends. You got to wait till the end too. It's a surprise for you and me too. You know, I mean, when does that happen? You get a surprise ending from the district attorney. The prosecuting attorney says, well, I'm not going to tell you. Yeah. You usually know a narrative. It usually comes together. When you go to court, you can say, da, 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 da. No, they were piecemeal and everything.
this guy should know this case back to front, to the letter. He should know it. And, he gets interviewed by, I don't even know who it was, CNN or someone, and I don't have the papers in front. I don't have the case files in front of me. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, when he's talking about fingerprints. Well, I don't know if they were looking for fingerprints. Well, of course they were, you dumb rod. They're looking for anything that has to do with somebody else that, somebody other than Teresa. Well, we know what they do with that. They didn't take the real evidence. They took the planted evidence, because the real evidence pointed somewhere else in some other direction.
There's so much that's shady. It's not funny.
But to go to that extreme, you know what I mean?
This was one of the things, my daughter came out one morning and I was eating breakfast and I'm sitting there crying and she's like, "Oh, Mum, what's wrong?" And I pick up my phone and I show her I was watching Brendan's interview again.
I can't watch
And she's
that.
like, "Mum, you're going to have to put that down. You just can't keep watching it."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I know I can't, but I can't look away by the same token. I just can't. And it's so like you get caught so deep into it. And she said there are so many other kids in America in particular who are suffering the same fate. And I said, I can't help that the documentary wasn't made about them.
Yeah.
I can only do what I am exposed to.
Right.
And that's why I love that, you talk about other crimes. Eric Jose talks about other things. I think Ali Apperson has as well at some stage as well. That helps all of us become educated on the whole thing, not just Brendan or Stephen.
Yeah. I'm really a big, strong supporter of reopening the Michael Funk case and Nina. I mean, they need to reopen it, because that cop had no right doing what he did. I
absolutely agree.
Reading or seeing the body cams and the way they talked about this person who had a life, who did so much more than what they give him credit for. Yes. Just like it's like shooting a deer. Oh, I mean, I want to come through and just kick him. You know what I mean? You were told to stand down, dude. You had an injury to the head. You should not be shooting. But who's the one that kills him? Boom, 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 with no warning. I mean, come on, you knew who he was.
Was it 15 shots or something?
17.
17.
There was 15, and then the other guy shot twice because he moved.
And he came out with his hands up as well.
No, he had a gun. He came out and he was pointed at the door, but he wasn't looking at, he was at the door. He rolled out at gunshots coming at him, and he got up and he went behind the truck and he pulled out his gun, which he had a license for, and he aimed it at the thing. Then he looked around, put the gun down, and started to boom, 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 boom. As soon as he turned around. I mean, there was no gun in his hand aiming at anybody. Okay. You could clearly see this. They didn't give him a warning. They warned him after he's down on the ground dead. Don't move. Hold it. Whatever. Oh, you don't have to do that? Excuse me? Since when did it become, I see you, I'm shooting you, rather than, whoa, wait a minute, we're here. Maybe we can help you. You're a hostage. It's assassination is what it was. And I wouldn't even really, I think maybe they could make a mistake like that, get trigger happy, whatever. It's still wrong. You still need to have some punishment for it, not be rewarded. But there's other things that go with it. Like they're trying to get the building. Like they had a raid in there, and you could clearly see the cop planting marijuana the size of your pinky in there. Wasn't enough to do anything, but you clearly see him planting the drugs. So what the heck is that all about? It's just like, you're dirty ass cops and you should not be a police officer. For one, you're planting drugs. What the heck is that?
The power just goes to their head.
That's it. And egos get in the way. And sorry to say, it happens a lot around the supporter group too. Egos get in the way. Put it away. Let's all get together and let's just do what we're supposed to do. Be on the path of freedom for the boys. That's what we need to do. Concentrate on that and not our own personal crap. You know what I'm saying?
I'm all for giving credit to people when they do the work and all of those things. Absolutely. But, if someone started talking about a subject that I had started and they'd gone off by someone else, I don't care as long as the word's getting out there.
Me neither. That's what I say. It's out there. Let's get it out there. Somebody else can put it out faster because you're sitting on it. Let it go. Who cares? As long as it gets them to what they're supposed to do. That's what it's all about. That's what we're all supposed to be doing. That's what teamwork is. That's why the more you work together, the further you go. I absolutely love Banana Man. Mwah, 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 love you. Julie Wessel. Mwah, 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 love you for doing what you're doing. I appreciate it. I gave a small donation, but I can do what I can do.
It all helps.
That's right. And I think it's fantastic that they're doing that. I think it's fantastic that everybody is helping. We got a great bunch of people, and I try to get them on my show. So come on, guys.
I was amazed how quickly that was raised, that goal.
Yeah.
And also just yesterday they were raising, I'm not sure which page it was on, but they were raising money for Brendan. He needed some new shoes and new headphones. And I don't know, that was done under an hour. And they raised double what they had even asked for. And it wasn't a lot. Brendan never asks for a lot, though, either. So
2 pairs of shoes, earbuds, and earphones. I mean, come on.
And so I was like,
Banana is the main.
I missed out. No. But I'm so glad. I'm so happy that he's getting the things he needs. He should not go without in there.
No, he shouldn't. He shouldn't be in there. I said one time, come on, let's just go break him out.
I've said it so many times.
I could go there and break him out. You know what I mean?
It's like when I watch the interrogation, I've said it 100 times. I wanted to reach into the screen and karate chop those 2 idiots out of the way and take Brendan and hide him.
Yeah, I had to get when I went to rally, I had to get a picture, even though it's the saddest picture to me is when Brendan's walking between the jail and the courthouse, and I stood there and I was like crying, and I took pictures of it, and I was like, it just made me, standing there where that happened. I just could imagine it played a role in my seeing that film in my head as I was looking at it, and it was just
there's certainly aspects of not just his interrogation but other parts of the trial as well that stick out for me. And ones when he says, will I be done and will I be back at school by 1:29? That's my son. My son's like, well, the bell will go and I'll get in trouble. So I have to be there before the bell goes. And the fact that Brendan says that screamed he had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
I'm just admitting to murder and can I go back to school now? And the other one at the end is like, you're going to be arrested, what, for a day?
Yeah. Is it just going to be for a day? I'm like, what one gets me is when they sentence him and he stands up and they're taking him away and he just tries to look back at his mom and he doesn't, he's like, he doesn't know if he can, what I'm talking about, how he looks.
I just felt like he looked back at Barb as if to say, help me, what's happening? Yeah. And I'll cry thinking about that because that is
I know, see, I'm getting tears. I'm getting tears.
It's the most horrific photo.
Brenda,
he just has no idea.
Yeah, he don't. It's so sad. It just, Brendan is the biggest part of this for me. It's what really got me going in this. And I find myself talking a lot more about Stephen's case because I really feel that Stephen getting out will help Brendan get out because Brendan's
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, and I know that this isn't going to stop for me here. You know what I mean? At this case, I know I'm going to go on and do other cases because I just cannot stand the injustice that people have to live with, the over sentencing, the paid prisons. Let's get prisons for profit here. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. It's born corruption. It just says corruption.
It doesn't work.
No, I mean, and who thought that was okay? Nobody asked me. I didn't know. And I would have said no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like these things that just happen that you don't even realize that happen, like EDPA or ADDPTA, whatever the hell them initials are, that Clinton signed. Yeah, I can never say it correctly. But that's another thing that when I looked into it, I thought, well, what does that mean? And then I looked into it. We lose a lot of rights there, man. I didn't know that. I mean, do these people really know what is all involved in that? I think they just thought, well, this is right away. We're going to get rid of the bombers and shit. They won't have to appeal anything. Terrorists will go. I mean, I
still don't understand it because I don't understand why the law wasn't written purely and simply for terrorists.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Why did it have to include everyone?
They played it off to us that it was just for that. And then you dig into it and you see all the stuff in there that just is like, what? Who asked for this? Is that what that is? I still don't know it all because it's very lengthy, but I encourage anybody to go and to that change.org. I'm sure you can find it on Andrew's channel. He's got that where you sign. I'll probably tweet it again. Sign that thing to get that changed. You know, I don't know if it's going to work, but it's worth a try, right? You never
That's
know.
my motto in all of this. Everything's worth a try.
Yeah,
Can't hurt.
it is all worth a try. It's all worth a try. So what is your message to Brendan supporters? What is like the best thing that you hear from Brendan that you can pass on to us?
Just keep talking, keep sharing. Bringbrendanhome.org is the biggest thing, and sign as many things as you can sign, whatever there is out there. Put your name to it and put it with conviction, because that boy is so innocent. Yeah. It's not funny.
Yeah.
We would laugh. We would laugh if it wasn't for the fact that
he's back there.
Supposedly a girl has died. So
yeah, we don't know anything. I mean, it's the thing that there's a couple really strong points in this making a murder that get to me, but the main one is, why did they stop looking for a missing person when they found a car and a key?
And why was no one else, asked to provide an alibi?
Like the boyfriend. Oh, Kratz provided that for him. Kratz gave him the alibi there. Yep, that's what it was. Them guys are.
And we all know now he's disappeared off Twitter.
Yep, off Twitter. Leah's his little bride wife is off too. She is venomous, that lady. Woo-wee!
She's
she's venomous, I'll tell you. She is something else. But I'm glad they're off. I mean, but actually some people think it's better to have him on because when he talks, he doesn't even realize that he's talking. You know what I mean? He just diarrhea.
The more you can get these guys talking, the better, because they're gonna slip up at some point. It's a lie upon a lie upon a lie. You can't keep track of them all the time. So it's better to keep them talking. Yeah.
And that's why I wonder, like, all that misdated reporting. How do you remember the misdated? You know what I mean? Yeah. How do you remember that was that day when it's written this day?
Yeah.
You might have it. You probably have. Let's see. I'll write this report for you, and then I'll write mine.
I don't know how any of those people involved sleep at night doing what they've done to both the men, Stephen and Brendan. It's absurd.
Lady is not a term for the Kratz souls. Child bride. No, you're probably right there, but I'm trying to keep it be nice. That's all I can say.
Yeah. I've people have always said that the Hallbacks are off limits, but I don't agree with that.
Why? Because if the state really cared about the Hallbacks, they would find the killer. Okay, they wouldn't have handed them
the investigation would have been done properly. To me, it shouldn't have mattered whether her car was found on the Avery salvage yard. People still should have been questioned and asked to provide alibis. It all ties in together. Yep.
They should still be looking for her. Not all on Avery compound, swarming it with every cop in the whole state and then some, and not looking for this girl, because the car didn't look like they said it didn't look like nothing nefarious happened in there. They told her brother that. So apparently you should still be looking for her. I've never heard of missing persons turned into homicide as soon as they find a car.
Yep.
They look guilty. They are guilty. Everybody says that making a murder is one-sided. Well, if it's so one-sided and these guys are going out and suing like Andy Colburn, why didn't he get on Making a Murderer 2 and speak his truth? He had a chance. You could have said, hey, look, this is what was said, and I did. But no, they didn't do it. Because why? Because they are assholes, because that did catch them the way they are. They're jerk-off liars, and you cannot go back on it. He's only suing them so he doesn't have to go to be called in court. That's what I think that is.
I only just heard about that, actually, that was the case. I thought it had the opposite effect, but I didn't know.
But guarantee you, he's going to slip up, and they're going to find out a lot of stuff. They're going to have all that on the floor clippings to look at, and they'll probably see that he's a liar.
The bottom line for me is too that Manitowoc officers should have been removed and weren't, and they were the ones that found all the evidence.
Yeah, Well, they shouldn't. Conflict of interest. And here's one for you. The coroner has above everybody, including the governor, including the attorney general. She could have said, these guys are threatening and they are stopping me from an investigation, a murder investigation. So the FBI would have been called in and them guys would have been out and everything would have been different. What happened? Why didn't she use her power? She had to have known she had that power. If they were threatening her, she could have went to somebody and said, they're threatening me. I mean, she
again,
can arrest the president. A coroner can arrest the president. So what the hell did she back down from these little hit guys? I'm really upset about that. I tell you, that's one thing that
again, we can speculate, but we don't know what you know, she was going through at the time.
Yeah, I know, but I get so upset because she really had the power.
I agree.
She could have called in somebody and saying, they're stopping me from doing this. They're telling me they're going to arrest me. Well, listen, she could have arrested them, you know, so I don't get that, okay?
I don't get it either.
That story's just, but I've kind of let it go because what are you going to be able to do about it? You know what I mean? Just get rant like I am right now and get mad, you know? I don't know. It's just so many things. But
shady,
very shady. I have had such a good time talking to you. It's been really a pleasure.
Likewise.
And I love talking to you in chat for a very long time. Keep supporting Brendan. Say hi for us. You know what I mean? And if there's anything that you know, come to me and I'll get it out there for you if I can. Everybody check her out on Twitter and you'll see her in the chats. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Is there anybody that had a question
everyone
for Michelle? Because if you have a question, I can check them out now, or we both can look at them now, actually.
Yeah.
So, yep. They're just making comments like normal. Just the normal chat. I think I would have been scared also. I don't know what that is about.
I think that's about the coroner.
Oh, well, you know, I don't know. I think I don't know. I can sit there and say right now that I wouldn't have, but I don't know because I wasn't in her shoes. You know, just like being on the jury, I would have been one that would have said, wait a minute, this is shady. And I know I would because I don't go for things. If it doesn't make sense to me here, I can't make a decision on it.
No.
You know, so I would have been the one that would have been, well, hung jury, you know what I mean? And then they probably got somebody else in here and changed it anyway. Is Michelle on Discord? Michelle, are you on Discord?
I'm in the Wrecking Crew one, but I'm not in there very often, just time-wise.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Sean. Thanks, Michelle. Everybody's saying thank you. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Join me.
Thanks for being here, everyone.
Next time, and we'll get some more of these wonderful supporters on here. Thank you so much, Michelle. I really had a great time.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, thanks. Everybody, bye-bye. If you haven't, subscribe. Now I got to find the button to push it off because it's all covered. I have all these bloopers. Sometimes somebody's going to put them all together and we'll have a good time.